Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's Chessie coming at you with my top 10 trailers from San Diego Comicon, which was this past weekend. And there was a lot of great material. There were a lot of great trailers for series that are on their second or plus season in some cases. And there were also a couple of ones that are for new series. That's kind of got my feathers in a bunch. But I'm going to talk about what I loved, because that's always best to start with, right? So first up, Alias Grace. It's about Grace Marks, who was an Irish immigrant who was in prison for the murder of her employer. And the story, the show is actually based off a book by the same author who wrote A Handmaid's Tale. So it is definitely written from an engaging perspective of a woman. So I'm curious to see if the same story quality that Handmaid's Tale has, at least in show form, carries over to Alias Grace. Now, this one's going to be on Netflix versus Hulu, which got Handmaid's Tale, so I'm not sure if that's going to play with the production value. It could, but, you know, every good thing comes to those who wait. Hopefully this will be another very feminine-driven perspective. You know, the trailer, she has this, you know, kind of gloomy voiceover where she's talking about how she would rather be a murderess than a murderer, because murderer sounds too harsh. Sounds like a woman after a lot of other women's hearts. So next up, though, is the Justice League trailer. Now, come on. Talking about women after your own hearts. I don't know if DC went back and reshot content, or if this was content they just hadn't teased us with yet because they were waiting to see how Wonder Woman was received. But the San Diego Comic-Con trailer actually highlighted the Amazons, as well as Diana, Wonder Woman, and that was really great. That trailer starts off with Diana, and it's like, okay, you got my attention. I'm sure you've got the attention of, you know, every geek that's running around raving about Wonder Woman right now. So what's gonna happen? And they tease some of the story, and they do a really great job of keeping your attention through the entire trailer. Jason as Aquaman, I'm pretty sure that man could get women pregnant by looking at him. He's got some eyes. You know, Ben Affleck as Batman, there were some actually rumors going around that the Warner Brothers was looking to replace him as Batman, which is really weird because the franchise for him as Batman is just starting. It seems a little counterproductive. I'm thinking it was more a case of hearsay in terms of a script being thrown out that he was attached to, and because Ben Affleck's actually come forward saying that he's willing to play Batman as long as they want him to have it, which is really weird because a lot of people who saw Superman versus Batman, they said it was either Wonder Woman or Batman that they enjoyed the most out of that film. That's a little weird. So, and then they wrap up the trailer with what everybody is speculating. And it is speculation, it is heavy speculation, that it is Boy Wonder. It is Superman that is coming up on Alfred. Unless it's Bizarro, I don't know if he has the ability to make the ground shake like the Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park. I'm just saying, guys. It's just a little weird. So it begs to be seen what's going to happen with that. I really like the actor choice for Alfred. I have to say, it looks to be an engaging film all the way around, and how Ben Affleck's Batman even gathers the team together. And those have been shown in previous trailers that have been put out. So it was nice, though, to see this trailer more heavily feature Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, as well as Cyborg. So it's going to be one of those things to see moving forward, especially since a couple of these characters have individual films planned for them. that have not yet come out. So they don't have the edge that Wonder Woman has at having their story completely laid out before Justice League hits the big screen. Moving on from the Justice League, we're going to the Defenders. They kind of broke Justice League, if you will. And they actually had 2 trailers that were significantly empowering in different ways. The first one has Stan Lee monologuing over it, talking about how everybody can be a hero. And it is a wonderful message, and it's tied in with different shots of the groups as a whole and as individuals helping somebody or helping each other, and showing that we all can work together to make the world a better place. The second trailer, however, was a highlight for me, at least, in the fact that they showcase Sigourney Weaver as the villain, and she does all the monologuing over it, talking about how, war doesn't work unless both sides think they're the good side. It also features a little Elektra, and it's going to be interesting to see how this really goes. A lot of fears are that it's going to be very Iron Fist centric, and that we're not going to get a lot of screen time of Daredevil or Jessica Jones or Luke Cage in the settings that really made them that gritty character. So I can understand the worry, but it seems also like Sigourney Weaver's taking over his corporation is kicking him in the gutter. So that might be a thing. And that's going to unfortunately have to wait until the series drops and we can all see what happens and see why things are happening the way they are. Moving on to another property of Marvel, Black Panther. Now, this film, I'm excited because it is a film featuring a phenomenal cast of actors of color. There are women who look like badass Amazonians. There are smart, intelligent men. There is a king who is a superhero out to show the world what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to be. And this is a phenomenal story from the aspect of showing that people of color do have equality, that we have some, not just value, but I'm sorry, I mean, the king and his country are worth billions and billions of dollars, and no one knows anything. I mean, to be fair, I am for that meme that was going around where, it looked like, Smeagol and, God damn it, the Hobbit having a conversation. I'm a terrible geek. I can't remember the name. Bilbo. There we go. Bilbo having a conversation, because it's actually the 2 same actors in that opening scene for the original trailer. So the hype that they're building for this, I really hope they keep building. Now, the only downside to this is because Marvel does not have the X-Men franchise still. Storm's not gonna be in it. And I know for a lot of the storylines involving the Black Panther, Storm was his wife. So it's going to be curious to see if they're going to try and slide her in like they did Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, or if she's just going to be completely MIA. Speaking of MIA characters, let's bring it up to Thor, and apparently how Hulk went MIA and is suddenly on the planet that Thor's been kidnapped to and is now, fighting for his life. And that trailer was really good. It actually highlighted it and pulled it into more of what I would say a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of feel, especially with the banter that they showcased between, Thor and other people. Not just in particularly one person, but, Thor and the Hulk, and Thor and Loki, and then Thor and Hela, even. So I'm actually really excited for this, and it's weird to say because I was actually kind of off-put by how they tried to play him as a dumb blonde in the first film, at the very least. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of depth they give his character this time, as well as obviously the Hulk, given for, at very least, there's some screen time where him and Hulk have a conversation. with Hulk. Not Bruce Banner, but Hulk. So, and since we're going into space, we'll move on to Star Trek Discovery. This one is going to be on Netflix. It looks to be episodic, possibly, or it is going to be a full film. I'm not entirely sure, because I swear sometimes they'll announce something as a series and then it comes out as a movie and then it swaps to a movie from a series, and we just can't keep up. However, though, I'm excited about this. I was a Trekkie. I was raised on Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager. I am very familiar with the Star Trek universe, as much as I am familiar with the Star Wars universe, if not more so because of being raised. This one stole my heart. I had heard rumblings that this was going to be a predominantly female cast, that this was going to be in the same universe that the current Star Trek franchise is established as a timeline. So I was not... Let me just say I'm apprehensive whenever they talk about having a female cast in a lot of movies anymore, because sometimes it gets downplayed or trumped by these male co-stars who come in and save the day. That being said, it doesn't really look that way in the trailer. It shows a lot of women of different ethnicities and a lot of men, as well as the Klingons, who have gotten apparently a major makeover, and it gives a weird kind of setup in the terms that it looks like a Star Trek commander is at fault for a war going on with other races. And now, in the story of Star Trek, that's not uncommon, but for them to actually have it as like the centerpiece of the story that we will get is pretty badass. And that it's a woman, no less, will be really cool to see. But what remains to be seen is if they really do these characters justice, if it doesn't come off as a cop-out, because in the trailer you see her talking to another admiral where he's telling her about how she started the war and now she can help him come stop it. I'm sorry, if she was badass enough to start the war, I don't think she needs your help. Moving on, Pacific Rim. Now, like, Charlie and Iris are not returning, it seems, unless they are floating low the radar, because originally I had heard that they were signed on. But the new trailer is pretty amazing in the fact that it shows John B. and Gypsy Danger. And there's been speculation all over the net about what his character was supposed to be. And it finally came, everything's finally out in the open. He's Pentecost's son from at least some assumptions, because Del Toro is amazing about controlling the leaks about his film. So it remains to be seen what exactly he is, and if Charlie is still going to be on cast. Because, you know, we can't have him, you know, who's co-piloting Gypsy? So that's going to be one of those films that I'm, like, waiting for. I really love it. It was Del Toro. I will acknowledge this. Let's get that elephant out of the room. I am a huge Del Toro fan. I have watched everything he has done because I love his method of storytelling. I love his visions. Sometimes they're not what I would hope for, but they're still beautiful pieces of work in cinematography, in storytelling, and they're full-out construction. With that said, he also has another film coming out called The Shape of Water, which harkens back to that feel from Pan's Labyrinth. The trailer itself, a lot of people were talking about how it captured the BioShock franchise film. Feel, not film. It's a film. We're talking about a film. It captured the feel of the original 2K game from BioShock, of being underwater and being kind of spooky and mysterious, but something you want to explore, which is really hard to accomplish because there's times where you see underwater and you're just like, oh, really? This is it? So, it'll be great to see him back in his element, and kudos to him for having a lead character that's actually mute. I mean, I have plenty of friends who are deaf and rely on sign language as a communication, so for him to have someone out there front and center with a disability, hello? Why isn't there more movies like this? What are we waiting for? That being said, we're moving into, at the very least for this one, an import. Death Note. Netflix has actually picked it up, live action. I've heard all kinds of talk about it, but I've been confused if just for the fact that there have already been 2 or 3 movies released over in Asia for Death Note that were live action. You can find pictures of them all over the internet, and they really pull the story literally from the pages. Now, what we're getting with the Netflix adaptation is something more USA-centric, which is totally understandable, but it looks to be, at the very least, for the key characters, holding true. You notice I'm glossing it over a little because I know some people haven't read or haven't watched, and I want you guys to have the chance, with unbiased views, to go check out Death Note. If you're a reader or an anime lover and you haven't touched them, you might want to go check them out. It'll give you some perspective. If you can get a hold of the films, you may enjoy those as well. I'm curious to see, though, what Netflix does with their adaptation. And since we've moved into fantasy type stuff, I'm going to wrap it up with Bright. Bright is taking on that trope of cop paired with guy, person, partner that they don't want, and pushing it to a new level. The trailer showcases so much in the terms of diversity attempts, at the very least. Will Smith has a white wife, he lives in the ghetto. I mean, there's a fairy in his bird feeder, and there are gangsters on his front lawn. Now, his partner is an orc, from my understanding, and there are elves, and there is magic, and this is really amping on that high fantasy pulled into modern times, and they're using a pretty great story vehicle of the cop with the partner they didn't want angle. So this should actually be really good, and I'm excited. They didn't rely on what looks like a lot of CGI, except for the fairy. I mean, I can't imagine like them finding a 12-inch actor, can you? And the makeup effects and all of that looks really good. For this to be a Netflix film, this looks really good. But Netflix has shown that they can produce cinema quality and still make everybody happy. They've shown that with Stranger Things. They've shown that with the entire Marvel series that they've done. So it'll be curious to see if they can move into full-on action films in the same way. And that's all I have for you. Do you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts about some of the trailers that they released? Are you upset about some of the things they shared, or are you just as excited as I am? Sound off in the comments below. If you really like this video, help me out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I will give you love and candy if I ever meet you in person. I promise. That's all I've got for now. Look out for my rant video because that's going to be a doozy. I promise you. And I'll catch you guys next time.